Hello and welcome to the first ever Nerd Dome podcast, episode 1. We're not going to rename it to episode 4 later. This will be episode 1. So, my name's Luke, and I am here with this guy.
Hi,
Name is audio.
I'm Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
I'm Ryan and I'm a nerd.
He's in the dome. So, and Mr. Charles.
That would be me. I would be Charles. I'm also a nerd and the owner of the Nerd Store. Yay, shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
And I am Sam. I am somewhat of a comic book nerd. My knowledge is a little sketchy, but I'm here to give what I can.
You son of a bitch.
I know.
And,
Give some
okay,
ratings.
so, first we were going to well, since we're past the shameless plug, we're going to go into some news and topics that had come up, and I guess some of movie news is usually the biggest stuff, so I guess we can start with that. We had the announcement this week of Jason, I always screw his last name up, Momoa or Momoa?
I think it's just Momoa.
Call him Khal Drogo.
Khal Drogo.
Khal Drogo is playing Aquaman in the Batman Superman Dawn of Justice movie. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm cool with it.
I'm actually way cool with it. I loved him in Conan. Although the movie was horrid, he did pretty well in it, so I think he can really pull it off.
Yeah, see, I'm actually kind of glad that they're going with a Islander to play, ocean-going guy, because it just to me, that makes more sense than a,
He's brown.
that's not racist.
Well, also, as we talked earlier, you said no one's going to look at Aquaman and go, he's just big pussy.
You sure about that? I don't even know that Momoa could make people not think Aquaman's a pussy.
You wouldn't call him a bitch, that's for sure.
Not to his face.
He would hear. His dolphins would tell him. They have extraordinary hearing. What do you think?
I like it. I like that. I kind of like that they're not going with the Beach Boy kind of image anymore. With the blonde, short hair, surfer dude. So I think it'll be cool.
Oh, you're telling me you don't want Chris Evans as Aquaman?
No, Chris Evans is many heroes as it is.
Come on, he could play one more.
Why not? He hasn't branched into DC yet.
Sad he got replaced by a black man.
That's a whole nother story.
Hey, I'm actually happy with that casting. Michael B. Jordan's badass.
He is, and that honestly is my least thing that worries me about that movie. It's, everything else other than everything about that movie.
Yeah.
And we were also talking earlier about the new Ant-Man news. Ant-Man, yes. Charles, go ahead and profess your love about Ant-Man and just everything you love about the character. I'm interested to hear this.
He's awesome and he's short.
He's a man
I'll
of
tell you that I'm really sad that Edgar Wright's gone. I saw the test footage at Comic-Con when Edgar Wright came out, and holy shit. When they first announced it, I was like, okay, here it goes, Marvel's jumping the shark for the end. But then I saw the test footage, and I was in. And now he's gone, and now I'm sad.
Yeah, but and honestly, Peyton Reed seems to me like I know he's done some like little movies. I know he did the Day the Earth Stood Still, but
Ugh.
I don't know if that was his fault. He seems kind of like a director for hire. So and they're pretty much they have the same script. They are working on rewrites to it, but I think if you just keep with the same base of what Edgar Wright put down, then I think it'll be. I think it'll be.
The problem is that Edgar Wright's got the visual effects, and he has an incredibly unique style. And if you're going to take this character, you got to keep his style if you're going to try to keep his script. I mean, you're talking about a dude who I'm looking at his IMDb page right now. He directed Yes Man and Bring It On.
Yeah.
So.
Like I said, actor. Like I said,
And comedies.
Bring it on. Wow.
Okay.
From the man that brought you Bring It On.
Yeah. That's something we want to see on the next big Marvel movie.
The rumored villain is reported to, again, it's just a rumor, but I brought up the article so I can tell you the whole story. So it says that the villain of the film will be possibly Darren Cross, the foe of Ant-Man, Scott Lang in the source material, and the head of Cross Technology Enterprises. The site reports that instead of being Hulk-like size, like he is in the comics, Cross will go toe-to-toe with Ant-Man in an outfit similar to the hero, which kind of leads you to believe it might be Yellow Jacket or some such.
Yeah, I could see that. Like it feels like that's the direction that they would go in with it.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
I just know that Ant-Man gets really small. That's about what I know.
Well, the short Ant-Man history that actually kind of is relevant for the movie is they have there's been a few Ant-Men over the years, and the first one was and it looks like what they're doing with the movie is they're keeping him in the 60s, like when he was, so he's probably going to be, hanging out with Tony Stark's dad and going on crazy 60s early SHIELD adventure while he's coming up with the pin particles. But he decides he wants to quit the Avengers and, just focus on helping people, and he does that, and a janitor, the Scott Lang Ant-Man, steals his equipment and uses it to rob banks to help pay for medical expenses. I can't remember what family member it was. I want to say it was his daughter or his wife. But so that's how, and that's why you get the second one. The Avengers catch him, and Tony Stark promises to pay for all his family's health issues.
What a nice guy that Tony Stark. What a nice guy Tony Stark is.
Yeah, sometimes yeah. So then he becomes the new Batman, and the Scott Lang is going to be Paul Rudd, and why can't I think of his name? Michael Douglas is going to play Hank Pym. So, yeah, that's
which I really wish they would have focused on Hank Pym more, just me personally, because I really like him better.
I was hoping for an Edgar Wright 1960s montage of Hank Pym and Tony Stark's dad cruising around doing stuff, with the Mad Men music going on in the background, ordering people.
Well, it would be a really great way to fill in some of the gaps that they did with the Iron Man series movies with his dad and stuff. I mean, they kept saying, well, he helped, create the formula for the arc reactor, but he didn't have the technology. I'd really like to see some of the stories of how he and the what's his name's father came up with the formula and stuff like that, and then introducing Ant-Man as one of the scientists that helps with it or helps with other things that Stark Industry does along the way up until Tony comes into play.
Another opportunity that Marvel has to explore that time period too is the new Agent Carter series that's coming on, because that's the whole Agent Carter back then developing SHIELD, and at the same time period that Tony's dad's around still.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Do we get a young Hank Pym in that one?
Maybe.
That would be
really cool.
Because unlike DC, they like to link their TV and cinematic universes. From the
Arrow.
Yeah. All right. So.
One other rumor I heard about Ant-Man, actually. It's a complete rumor, but if it happens, it'd be awesome. The potential possibility of Moon Knight showing up.
Oh, Moon Knight. I think that would be
Really?
cool, but I just think that is like way obscure. If you're pushing Iron Fist and Daredevil and Luke Cage to Netflix, and you put Moon Knight in a movie, really?
It might make some sense with the fact of marketing, or well, Marvel's current marketing plan. They're pushing Moon Knight really heavy in comics right now.
Yeah,
They're
see,
really trying to get his name out there, and it would be about the right time for him to be introduced, even as a really bit throw-off minor character in the movie. But getting him out there would be cool.
yeah. See, I heard because I can't remember the names of the artistic team on Moon Knight, but they're leaving after issue 6, and
Of course they are. Marvel can't keep their damn teams together.
I want to say it's like Greg Pak and somebody else that are doing it, and they're fairly a fairly good team over there. But usually, what happens is they let them finish an arc, and then they see how the next 2 or 3 issues go, and then they cancel the book because it hasn't been selling that great. They've been pushing it, but it really hasn't been selling.
That's true. It hasn't at all.
So that's what I think. They're just like, okay, guys, wrap this up. We'll give it another shot, see how it goes. But after that, any other news you guys want to talk about? Comics, movies, TV? Good.
Guardians
Yeah,
of the Galaxy's new trailer out.
Oh yes.
National.
Yeah, is it awesome?
Oh, it's amazing.
You get a little bit more of the Rocket Raccoon and all that in there compared to the first and the second trailer that came out.
Shirtless Star-Lord?
Yes. Yes, there's more shirtless Star-Lord. And you get to hear Vin Diesel say, "I am Groot,"
Twice.
which was the highlight for me. I was like, yes.
That was amazing.
I was talking to somebody about Vin Diesel voicing Groot, and I was telling them his only line is I am Groot. And they're like, that's kind of a big name actor to put him with one line.
It's like Iron Man. Okay, so the next segment that we're going to move on to is comics that we're currently reading, whether they be new, old, borrowed, digital, just whatever we're reading right now is kind of, as you guys can't see this, but he flashes a Deadpool comic.
Yes, my Deadpool. What happens in Vegas? My newest one.
All right, so I guess I will start. Books I'm reading from Marvel. I'm reading Daredevil, both Uncanny and All New X-Men. I am reading both Captain and Miss Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are really the big Marvel ones that I'm reading, and I'm also actually reading the Original Sin books because it's actually it kind of drew me in, just being interesting teams that you would have never thought the Punisher and Doctor Strange would do anything together, but here they are. And on the DC side of things, I'm reading Batman and Batman Eternal, both Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps, and Harley Quinn is about what I have right now. And it's not corpse, it's core. So yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. Charles, go ahead and let everyone know what you're reading. Batman.
Good God, dude! My list is ridiculous. I'm currently reading 30-something titles, but at the moment that I'm actually caught up on is Batman Eternal, Future's End. Let's see here. I think that's it from DC. From Marvel, I got Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain Marvel, Wolverine, Amazing X-Men, Cyclops, Amazing Spider-Man, and Ultimate Spidey. And then
Cyclops, by the way, I am reading that as well, and it is awesome.
Cyclops is really good, and it really shocked me, to be completely honest with you.
Not me.
That's what it happened. In his own title and it being good.
Greg Rucka thought so. Greg Rucka thought so.
I'm also reading a bunch of indie stuff right now. Black Science is fucking fantastic. I couldn't be happier with that book. And then Walking Dead, it's Walking Dead. Then Lazarus and Caliban are the other two I'm reading.
Yeah, Rucka.
Yeah. Lazarus is ridiculously good too.
Yeah. Is that about it on yours?
That's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and just read Caliban. Every one of you should be reading Caliban.
I know I should, but I'm not.
But you should.
But
I'll
I
put it in your hold. I'll force you to read it. God damn it.
It's in there. Take it. Kind of sounds like rape, but we'll just pass over that one. All right, Sam. Go ahead.
All right. The one that I currently have in my possession to show is Deadpool: What Happens in Vegas. That's the one I'm currently reading. I just recently finished Deadpool Kills the Classics with the awesome Moby Dick cover. I absolutely love that one. And then Deadpool Kills Marvel Universe. Those are currently with my buddy. Deadpool Kills Marvel Universe is probably my most far past one in recent history. And then goes Priest, so I'm not comfortable enough to talk too much about Priest, but I do know that I really do like it, and me and my buddy have decided to split the series, where I buy half, he buys half, and then we just get all caught up on it. So I'll be able, probably in future episodes, be able to talk a little more about Priest. But I absolutely adored the movie. It's what caught my interest on the series. I really do like it, and I would love to see something like a Priest Blade crossover, maybe going head to head, and then eventually becoming allies instead of a nemesis.
All right. Your turn.
My turn?
Your turn.
I really suck at reading comic books. I don't read them fast enough. I do other things. Which now. But I read X-Men, all X-Men all the time. And right now I'm reading,
Good choice.
because I'm kind of anal about reading things in order. But right now I'm in late 2010 comic books. So I'm just not really but it's like the age of Deadpool. Like Deadpool coming out with really good stuff then. Like that's when that the Vegas one, I think, that story arc.
Yeah.
And because I remember reading that recently, and yeah, so that's what I read, and I'm behind, so it doesn't matter.
All right, and I guess.
I was going to say, the one thing about Deadpool is you can pick up any one of them. You don't have to know the backstories. You can pick up Merc with a Mouth #5. Pick it up, and you're not going to be disappointed. And just because you're not caught up with the story is so erratic that it's awesome. So you can start anywhere. Even with Deadpool Core, which is another one that I have it's been backlogged for quite a long time. I just absolutely love anything Deadpool. Just as I can pick up any issue of Spawn and enjoy the hell out of myself.
Who do you like most out of the Deadpool core?
What's that?
Who do you like most out of the Deadpool core?
Undeadpool. That one?
Deadpool head?
Yep. Undeadpool, as I like to call him. Just because he's the fourth voice, which is awesome. And then his inner monologue becomes 6. And it's just that just creates even more vast amount of characteristics to what is Deadpool.
See, I am not a Deadpool reader, but I do appreciate the Deadpoolisms that come out and his little pop-ups in other comics. Like his future Deadpool and all new X-Men is hilarious. It's like, you must be Deadpool. No mistake. All right, so next we will move on to books that we should really get caught up on and want to get caught up on. This is where, for me, I'm reading all of the Marvel books that I want to read. But there are some DC ones like Gail Simone's Batgirl and Batwoman for me, but I really just want to read Batwoman, the J.H. Williams III run on it until they left him and Will Blackman left the book. I really want that run of it because the artwork is amazing. from just the covers I've seen, from the panels I've seen, it's just one of those things that it's like,
That's the one you were showing me earlier, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yes, that's one I'd like to move on to as well.
yeah. And then also a lot of my indie ones, like Black Science, I know it's great,
It's fantastic.
but it's Hickman, and
Don't care. Read it.
I enjoy Hickman in like big chunks. Like I'm gonna sit down 2 hours and I'm gonna read a Jonathan Hickman story. That's why I'm starting to lose it on Avengers because it's just like it's so dense that I need time to read it, and then like I can read a big chunk of it and then stop and be like, oh, okay, and then go back and reread instead of having to go back, pull out the issue, okay, what the hell just happened, bring it back out. That's kind of why I'm that's the way I am with Black Science. Sex Criminals, I know there's only like 6 issues of it, but it's Matt Fraction, and so anything that says Matt Fraction on it, I'm usually just like, buy it, and I'll figure it out later. But and it was ever since that what was it, the second printing of the first issue with the photograph on the cover.
Was that the 4th printing?
Yeah, like the 4th printing. It's just a man sitting there, like with his hair slicked to the side, wearing a polo, and it says, "From the guys that brought you, whatever," and also the guys that talk to Applebee's on Twitter. That I was like, sold. And then jumping from Matt Fraction to his wife, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Pretty Deadly is also one that I want to get caught up on. I have a few single issues of it, and I read it, and I love it, but I really feel like, again, it's one of the ones that I want to trade weight on. And yeah, so that's because just all the characters in it, like anything she writes, no matter, guy, girl, it's always, the characters are always like, I don't know, they seem human to me because they say human things. They speak about, like an example that I've used before is when she was writing Avengers Assemble, the argument between her and their Captain Marvel and Wolverine on the correct usage of the popcorn button on the microwave, if it's going to burn the popcorn or if it's going to cook it just right. And like just little things like that throughout all her work is really what does it for me, reading her work. And when they said the Image Expo, whenever they announced that she was going to be doing this, I was like, okay, this is going to be something that I want, and I really do want to get caught up on it. But yeah, those are mine. So
you said you're waiting until trade on like Black Science and Pretty Deadly, right?
Yeah.
Cool. They'll be in your hold in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
They're on order.
All right, you're up next, sir.
So for me, I'm actually like 3 issues behind on Batman, and it's fucking Batman, so I need to get caught up on it. All the 0 Year shit has just been fantastic, and I also need to get caught up on kind of the back stuff because I jumped in at 0 Year initially. So I got to get caught up on City of Owls and the whole Death of the Family. I'm way behind there.
Yeah.
They're great. Yeah. Sex Criminals is one that I want to jump in on, but I'm waiting until trade because I can't pick up issue 1. So what the fuck do I do? And then Hawkeye. Hawkeye is one, and again, it's Fraction. Holy shit, is Hawkeye good? The first 12 or 13 issues that I read up until just after the Pizza Dog issue, and then kind of fell out. So I have them all. I've been buying them. So I have them all sitting here, just waiting for me, but that's in my long box of back issues that I need to get through.
Yeah, Hawkeye has given me my favorite panel of a couple years ago where he's diving across the bed naked.
I like that.
And it just has the Hawkeye face, masked face over his crotch as he's diving away, and he's got his socks on.
Yes.
Maybe that's really how it looks.
Why is he naked but has socks on?
You don't get naked and leave your socks on?
No.
That's not a thing? I thought that was a thing.
All right, Sam, go ahead and let us know.
All right. This one's not necessarily one I got to get caught up on because I haven't started reading it, but Batman and Widening Gyre, which is the Kevin Smith written um, editions. I really love Kevin Smith as a writer in films and everything, so I really want to see his take on Batman as, how he sees Gotham City and Batman's world through his eyes and that. So that's one I'd really love to actually just get through, and maybe move on to some of his other editions that he hasn't finished. The other one is Mark with a Mouth. I only have 1 through 5, and I don't know why I've never picked up 6 and 7, but I'd really love to finish that series. And then Thor: God of Thunder. I've read 2 issues, sadly, only 2. I'd love to finish that one.
Yeah,
And then, of course, Spawn. I'd absolutely love to go from 100 to, I think it's like 206 or beyond, however many they have. I had 17 issues. I currently only have 10 in my possession. I'd love to have one to the very end so far.
yeah. There's probably an omnibus somewhere that you could pick up that has a lot of that stuff. But speaking of Thor: God of Thunder, that was yet another one. Now hearing you guys speak that I don't have on my list of comics I'm currently reading, but that one has been amazing. Like seriously, the first arc has 3 Thors. How can you go wrong with 3 different Thors?
Yes. One should do a little good. 3 should do a lot of good.
Yes, yes. All right, and what about you?
I already said I'm 4 years behind. I just wanted to get caught up on everything.
So anything with X in front of it
Yeah.
from 2010 to 2014. Got a lot of work with it.
I have them all arranged. I have them. I just have them all arranged on my computer, and I just need to sit down.
Yeah, I keep. He likes Nightcrawler, and I keep tempting him with Nightcrawler, and he's like, "Nope, don't want to know."
Because I'm so anal about reading things in order.
That's another one I did not even think of. That is one I have to do because that just started, did it not? Like
Yeah,
a
it's
month and a half ago?
Yeah.
I think.
I really do want to pick up at least the first issue to see if I like it.
Yeah, the best part about it is it's written by Chris Claremont, so you get the X-Men guy writing an X-Men.
Hell
And
yeah.
it feels like it. It's not, down and, dour and stuff. It's actually, it's more swashbuckly like it should be.
That's one that needs to go on my catch up.
Yeah. All right, and I'm not sure. I know Charles and I have read it, but we're each week or each episode we're going to talk about like a graphic novel that we have read, that we've heard about, and just our thoughts on it. And this week we are doing Hush. Hush by Jeff Loeb and art by Jim Lee. And it's, I don't know, Charles, you just recently finished it up, so what are your thoughts?
It was really good. I don't know how much further to go. Yes, your opinion is wrong here, Luke. Jim Lee is awesome. Just leave it at that. Jim Lee is fucking incredible. His art on this book is just so good. And seeing all the Bat villains and all the great Bat villains and the Bat anti-villains coming together all in one giant plot against Batman, it was just fantastic.
Yeah, it was, and I'm not wrong, but it was, yeah, no, I've really, really enjoyed it. When I read it, I skimmed through it the other day just to kind of refresh myself. Because Loeb writing most stuff, usually I think of his Marvel stuff, like Daredevil Yellow and stuff like that. But this was, because he did, if I'm not mistaken, he did The Long Halloween as well.
Yeah.
Those are two, and they're two of my favorite Batman stories. And seeing that it was the same guy, I was like, this guy really, he gets it, and not just the aspect of Batman and his way of looking at things, but the villains as well. Like he really gets because I think we can all agree Batman has the best villains in
Joker. Joker.
Yeah.
I like Batman. I love Batman actually, but I love the Joker just so much more as a character. I think they've done such great things with him as a villain that has just made him by far the best nemesis Batman has ever had.
Yeah, but it's just like Loeb gets them as well. Like he gets their motivations and he gets their, their styles, and I don't know. It just really came through, especially reading the Catwoman. Catwoman's a big part of it, and
He
it's
gets the entire Bat universe.
yeah, yeah. It's like in and out. He understands it, and that always has just been something that, like, if artist and a writer really understand what they're doing, um, they can work with pretty much anything that they throw at them.
Um, Now, are we okay to throw maybe a little bit of spoilers about it, or do we want
Um,
to keep it
Yes.
on the DL? Okay, okay.
It's been out for how many years?
Yeah, I know, but obviously, like I haven't read it, but I have read the synopsis of it. I know exactly how it ends. It ain't gonna keep me from actually probably borrowing it from Luke. Um, but was this the first time that Catwoman and Batman actually have kind of like their own like love scene, like get
This
together?
time they actually showed it, like they alluded to it in the past, where it came very, very close, where they were very, very close, and then the last minute, then at the last minute they would, Batman would push her away, and so yeah, there's the big Batman Catwoman kiss, and the revelation.
That sadly, that's something that maybe fans have like wanted to see for quite a while. And then, as I read in there, right at the end, Batman just kind of breaks away from her, just like no,
Well,
because she says "hush" just before she goes to kiss him, like right there at the end.
Oh yeah,
He freaks out a bit.
Yes,
yeah,
and he freaks the hell out about it, and she tells him that they're kind of like meant to be and all that stuff, which opens it up for a little bit later, maybe it even growing even further than it did in Hush.
I also really liked the introduction of a childhood friend for Bruce, even though it was like around, it was around the time his parents died. They actually really never talk about, him having friendships as a kid. You always think of him and Alfred locked up in this big stuffy house, but he did go to school. He must have had friends, and he obviously went to school and stuff before his parents died. So I don't know. I really like that too. That it actually again gave even more depth to Bruce Wayne as a person.
Spoilers. He dies at the end. No, I really did like that, and the whole point of when, at the point that he turns the corner and Joker's standing there with gun in his hand, and he just goes ballistic on him. But at the same time, he's not only going ballistic on him, he's already, before he even starts beating on him, he's already thought about it.
Yeah,
And that brings kind of something you really haven't seen in Batman. But he has good reasoning at the same time. I think the story's very well written in Hush.
See, and for me, this whole book is something you haven't really seen in Batman because it's the villain beat him. I mean, up until the very, very end, the whole book is Batman being beaten.
Yeah.
It is the entirety of it is the villain's just getting the upper hand, and he's got no fucking clue what's going on. And up until the grand reveal, you don't know what's going on either, and he doesn't know what the hell's going on. It's one of the best written, to where he's actually finally found someone who's able to fake it enough and kind of screw with his mind enough that he questions himself, which is at the end when the whole Catwoman thing happens. Part of that is that he's still questioning himself. Even after figuring it all out, he still doesn't fully understand what the hell went down.
Yeah, and they also show Batman get his ass kicked, like more like him more banged up from a cut rope and him falling than him going toe to toe with Bane. Like he has to get evacuated by the Huntress, and then they have to do brain surgery on him. You know, it's just like, whoa.
The other thing I really like is, being a Batman fan, you're a fan of the detective work he does too. And that whole story is probably a detective's worst nightmare in any situation. Because it just layers itself. Once you think you've caught up to the tippity top of where it started, whole new chain starts breaking through until he finally gets right to the end. But by that time, he's already been just shattered.
Yeah.
So when he finds out at the end, it's like it's not as big of, it doesn't feel as big as an accomplishment as it would if you would have just caught him right, a couple days after said event started.
Yeah. As we've been talking about it, Ryan's actually been flipping through the novel here. So what are your, like...
You have so many... I think it's cool. I mean, you have the first kiss between Catwoman and Batman, which we talked about. But you have, like, Batman throwing Lois Lane off the roof. Yeah, or having Lois Lane thrown off the roof by Catwoman to get Superman snapped out of Poison Ivy's control. And then you have this, what I think is the most epic splash page of the entire book, is where the Joker is being choked by Batman, and that look on his face. Most epic scene in this entire thing, I think. I love that whole splash page.
There is the, I don't know if you saw it, but the...
and even Crypto.
Crypto Superdog. No, but the Clayface as Jason Todd messing with his brain.
Oh, that was so good and so fucked up.
I know. Okay, well, if anyone else have anything they want to say about...
Actually, on the Clayface thing, one of the things I read in there was that he still could not find Jason Todd's body. His body was still missing, even after he found out it was Clayface. So you got the Riddler, who although had been figured out, he refused to tell Batman where Jason Todd's body was. And I thought that was actually a really good... That could have made for a really good continuation of the story.
Yeah, it was a good, like, loose hanging thread that they could follow up on later on.
Definitely.
Just writing.
Yeah. That's why I said I really like the writing in there, because it just, not only does it have so much depth and being the detective's worst nightmare and watching Batman at probably one of his most weakest points, being literally almost dead, having to have brain surgery, and then just going through all this crap, having his childhood friend killed, being in love with Catwoman, then all of a sudden, being freaked out and going, I can't trust her, giving his identity to her, which is another thing. He had never given her his identity to her. She never knew that he was Bruce Wayne. And in this, he gives that away to her. So, he also has opened himself up for, don't piss Catwoman off, because she could really screw you over type deal.
Yeah, that was another really good scene with when Nightwing finds Catwoman in the Batcave, and who's like, "What the hell is this?" That one was great. All right, well, I guess if no one else has any thoughts, any more thoughts on Hush, we can move to kind of our base topic of the podcast. Our 5 favorite superheroes of all time. So what I'm thinking that we do is we go through, we each say our number 5 and why we like them.
I have to defend my choices?
Oh, yes.
You definitely.
Bullshit.
You definitely.
Okay, wait. Just wait. All right, I will start. My fifth favorite superhero of all time is Iron Man. Um, like even back watching the old, had to be the old '90s Iron Man cartoon was actually my first exposure to it when he had like the
Winds of destiny change.
when he had the dirty pencil mustache, and I just what kid who grew up with Power Rangers didn't think a Robo suit was awesome? So that was really my first anything with Iron Man, and then of course like the rest of the known universe, the Iron Man movie, or Robert Downey Jr. really did, really took the character as his own and made it what it is today, really. And yeah, it's just like I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I like not associate, but like I get what he like when he says stuff, where he's coming from, like how he says it. I don't know. I just like empathize. That is the word. Thank you.
Well, also to the fact that you pretty much can pull off a Tony Stark. It's, the attitude you like to pull off sometimes.
It happens from time to time. It's been.
It is new.
It is known. Kind of a big deal. So now, Sir Charles, go ahead and throw it out there. It's like tossing chum to the sharks, but
Oh yeah.
go ahead.
All right. My number 5. It's a recent addition. Now, before we get into this, I want to say something. All right. So, before we get into this, for me, choosing the top 5 heroes it's a fucking hard thing for me to do. Simply because it's constantly rotating, depending on what my most recent or most current, thing I'm reading about them or watching or whatever medium I'm happening to be experiencing at the time. It does change my opinions. My top 2 are pretty much solid across the board. Everything else fluctuates because at that point it's just whatever the best writing is, whatever's got the best story. That's who I'm not liking, and that's my favorite at the moment. So, for number 5, I went with a team. Yes, that happened. I don't care. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, so
There are no words.
so
Trying to be nice.
No, don't. Bring it on. Let's see what you got.
the guard like if
The new adaptation.
What was that?
The new adaptation, and it's a very new addition to the list for me.
The Bendis Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Okay. It's a team. It is so easy for someone to say, you know what, the X-Men's my favorite comic book character, the Justice League's my second favorite
We didn't say comic book character. That was not the actual thing. That was not the question.
What was the question then?
Favorite hero. 5 favorite heroes.
See, you just pluralized it.
Well, I read your question word for word. Our 5 favorite heroes.
Heroes, because you had to pick 5 of them.
So how many are on Guardians of the Galaxy? Or 4 or
Fine.
5?
What I just did, there's 5 of them, right? So instead, there you go. That's my 1 through 5. That's kind of true.
Groot being 5.
Groot is badass.
So is Groot your number 5?
I'd put Rocket over Groot.
Okay, so is Rocket your favorite Guardian?
No, I don't have a favorite. They're all fucking awesome.
Okay, we're holding the metaphorical gun to your crotch right now. Pick one.
Fuck. You know how hard it was for me to come up with the 5 to begin with?
Listen, you knew this was coming.
I did. Yeah.
Coming since like 10 o'clock this morning. You've had time for rebuttal.
Do you choose the leader? Do you choose the highly skilled assassin? Do you choose the maniac and his brute force? Do you choose Groot because he doesn't say anything but he's still a badass? Or do you choose the raccoon because he's a fucking raccoon?
You gotta choose the raccoon. When you put it on that way, raccoon because he's a fucking raccoon.
Because that's just science.
Actually, aliens.
Aliens. All right, Sam, go ahead with your number 5.
The Hulk, and it's because I can relate to the anger issues. But also the fact that Bruce Banner has probably some of the best mind control that you've seen since probably X-Men with Professor Xavier, being able to completely control his inner self to try to lock the Hulk away. That's a very big thing, because if the Hulk is unleashed, he's almost an unstoppable force to almost anybody, outside of Thor, because Thor's badass. But I really do relate with the anger issues, and I really, somehow think that the Hulk represents maybe a little bit of Stan Lee's inner angers and stuff like that, and that's maybe how he came up with the character. And that interests me, and if I ever got a chance to Stan Lee, that would probably be the first character, hero, I should say, that I ever talked to him about, would be the Hulk.
I think that would be a really cool question to ask him, because I'd never even considered that if Stan Lee had anger issues, and that's what maybe where he got some of the source material for Hulk. I've never even considered that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you get the answer, well, no. And then you're just like, fuck, well, there goes all my ilk of that question. Thanks.
Probably, in all honesty, that's probably what you would get from him is, no, that had nothing to do with it.
You vibe. So long.
I used to throw chairs.
Do you imagine angry Stan Lee just hucking chairs at people?
Yeah.
He'd still be lovable. He'd be like, aw, Stan.
Oh, that's so cute. 9-year-old trying to pick up a foam chair.
All right.
Me?
Yes.
My number 5 is Aquaman. Yes,
Aquaman
yes,
for other people.
The Aquaman. So, everybody thinks that he's a pussy.
Because he is.
He's not.
No, disagree with you.
Yes. So, the reason that Aquaman is always in my top is because he's the very first superhero that I was ever exposed to. My very first superhero toy was a little Aquaman toy that would float and swim in the bathtub. And
Parents hated
was
you.
my very first superhero. And so he will always be special to me because he was my first.
Because your parents hated you.
Yeah. Pretty sure one of my cousins gave it to me because they didn't want it.
Because Aquaman.
There's a reason.
And now Aquaman's on video games eating people with a school of sharks.
And it's awesome.
In all honesty, I actually really do like Aquaman. He's an underrated character. He's just really fun to make fun of.
Yeah.
And he's easy to make fun of,
easy.
and Robot Chicken does an amazing job of that.
Just, come into the car wash and say that. You can't fuck with me over here.
Okay, my number 4, moving on to the next number, is Thor. And if you're watching this, there's a giant Thor poster in the background on the wall.
Where's your Thor comics?
Huh?
Where's your old school Thor comics on the wall? I don't see those there.
Those are in the bedroom. You don't want to go in there. That's where the magic happens. That turns into a whole
Creepy.
day podcast. But
Not 1 ounce of porn, just Thor.
but no, I've always liked Thor, and honestly, I can actually trace this back to my twin brother. He was always a big Superman fan, always, and he's always like, "Well, Superman can do this, and Superman can do that."
Superman can fuck himself.
One day, I was like, you know what? hold on. And I started flipping through and kind of did, you know, as much research as a 12-year-old will do. And Thor. Thor, it could beat Superman. And from then on, I've been like, yeah, hell yeah. He's a Viking. He's got a giant hammer. He drinks mead. He sleeps with wenches. And he fights ogres and dragons and giants. And it's like, it's perfect. And on top of that, like, as I grew older, I got into like mythology and history and stuff like that, and just how it ties into mythological and historical stuff. I just always like that. So that's Thor for me. Charles.
Oh, hey, I'm next.
Yeah, you're next.
All right, so my number 4, it stems from being a kid and growing up with the '90s X-Men cartoon.
Dun, 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 dun.
If you grew up with the '90s X-Men cartoon and you didn't love Gambit, then you're wrong.
No option.
Now I get that in other adaptations he's kind of a douche, but nonetheless Gambit. Yeah, Gambit.
Damn it. It's because you really want to speak with a Cajun accent, huh?
I do. I really wish I could. Stupid Cajuns and their accents.
It's not just you. It's me too.
Everyone that doesn't have one.
Yeah. All right, Sam.
I know it's hard to tell, and reasoning why, with all the Deadpool comics I have, that Deadpool comes in as my number 4. And it's just because he's, the hilarity hero. And the anti-hero at the same time, and he can also be considered a villain in some points. I mean, he's switched so many sides, but I still consider him a hero because eventually he does do somewhat the right thing, at least to get him on the good side of the Avengers and everybody else, so they don't completely destroy him.
Yeah.
But it's just I've never read a bad Deadpool comic. I've seen bad Deadpool art, but I've never read a bad Deadpool comic. And he probably, as long as they're writing Deadpools, will be in my top 5, and he'll probably stay there fluctuating as time goes on.
I love Deadpool myself too. My only problem with him is he seems like Marvel's convenient hero. It's very much just, hey,
There's nothing wrong with that.
Deadpool can do it. Deadpool, he doesn't choose sides because fuck sides.
He destroys the whole universe. It's just awesome. He's just the comic relief after you're done with the epic hero Boy Scout, like Captain America, and you want a little funny, a little something, just relax your brain a little bit, something that like I said, you can pick up any issue and just laugh your ass off. You don't even really got to know where the story's going. It's just funny. It's kind of like watching a Seth Rogen film. You don't really got to be that smart to watch it and laugh.
Deadpool, the Seth Rogen of Marvel.
Exactly, right there.
Tagline.
So my number 4. So all of these characters on my list are either there's something I really, really admire about them, or something I really, really relate to. So number 4 is Shatterstar for me, because I
Go from Aquaman to Shatterstar.
No, wait, it just gets better. Just hold on.
This isn't top 5 lamest superheroes, right? You know that it's favorite. Just making sure you got the memo.
One of the reasons that I really relate to the X-Men is that they're born different, they're outsiders, and that always resonated to me when I was younger. And Shatterstar was even an outsider in a group of outsiders, so I really like that about him. Plus, he's involved in the very first gay male kiss in comic book history, which was awesome for me.
Yeah. I remember the what was it? Because Peter David wrote that issue, right? And the guy who created Shatterstar was like, no.
And they got in the epic internet battle. It was awesome.
No, not, no. And he's like, yeah, I'm writing him. Yes, he is. Because Peter David's great. Like, I love all of his stuff. His Hulk run was great, and yeah, so yeah, not lame.
Nothing nice. I mean, because
It's not like he picked Puck, all right, or Squirrel Girl,
it just
all
depends
right.
on your.
I was just waiting for Squirrel Girl to come up. I assume that's 3 or 2 or somewhere in there.
Just wait, it gets better.
All right. My number 3 is Cyclops.
Pew pew.
Pew pew. Or boom.
Natural born leader.
Um, I I've always liked him, and I feel like up until lately, till Mr. Rucka has done anything with him, he hasn't really gotten a fair shake in the comic industries because everyone, ever since the Wolverine explosion, let's put Wolverine in everything. Everybody likes Wolverine, 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 Wolverine. And like
Boy.
the best example of that is they are the X-Men, and now there's a title called Wolverine and the X-Men. It's not That's not how it should be. You don't get Iron Man and the Avengers. It just I don't know. But ever since the Wolverine thing where everyone's just like, "Oh, we love Wolverine," they've relegated Cyclops to the douchey quarterback boyfriend of the chick that really needs to be with Wolverine. We all root for him. And it's just that's not the way he was written back in the day. Chris Claremont did great. He did great, and he did make him a person because he did leave his wife and child because Jean came back. Just I'm out. Sorry guys, time to go. Time to go be with the chick that I loved before I married you and impregnated you. And
You're trying to argue against his douchiness, right?
yes,
Not
yes.
prove that he's a
But
douche.
that's what I'm saying. So after that, he still was able to come in and take control of the team and lead everybody.
He lost.
He
to
lost,
Storm,
but
so you know.
but that was for a little bit until Storm had her own mental breakdown, which is the history of the X-Men. Wait 5 weeks, and one of them will have a mental breakdown. But yeah, I've always liked him. He's like the tactical mind that he has is the only other character I think of that has a mind like him is probably Captain America, like in a battlefield, knowing like what to do, what tactics to use, and stuff like that. And I always enjoy reading him because he gets that. You kind of get that after a while. You're like, okay, how's he gonna use his mutant team members' powers to do this? Because he knows everybody on his team, top to bottom, and how they work, and that's what makes him a good leader. And I don't know, I've always liked it. So yeah, that's Cyclops, my number 3.
Yay, Cyclops.
And sorry, he is a one-trick pony, but it's a hell of a trick.
No, I'll give you that. I actually enjoy Cyclops. I'm just giving you shit.
Cyclops was kind of just down there. He wasn't one of my hated heroes. He's just kind of in limbo with me until I met Luke, and then Luke's, sparked him up into, my top 50 favorited superheroes, and it is because of his tactical mind and the fact that he can take leads so well, and that's what makes the X-Men really good on most points. I mean, yeah, he eventually does become a dick, but that
But who doesn't?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's true.
yeah, that's true. Eventually, you know, um, well, let's just say that the story just gets more interesting as Cyclops develops, especially with the Days of Future Past stuff and him going back and seeing him old self and all that stuff. All that is really interesting, especially with him. So, and I wouldn't have known of that stuff if Luke hadn't been such a nerd about him and told me about it. So yeah, that sparked my interest and brought him back up and into my tops, because the X-Men used to all be in my favorite tops, but as I've gone along and spread out a little more into the comic universe, he went down the list until recently.
I met Luke, and he's still just there. I don't hate
Well,
Cyclops.
you haven't had to work 8 hours with him and hear about Cyclops for 5 of them.
All right, fair enough. I don't hate Cyclops. I don't mind Cyclops. He's just a character. I mean, he plays his role well. He does his job well. He is the character he plays is a good character, but he is the character. I mean, he's just a guy to me. I got nothing for or against him.
Wait till you read Bendis's Uncanny all the way through, then he's a little more in depth than that. But okay, we're too long on Cyclops. So,
I never thought I'd hear you say those words.
yeah, I know, right?
All right. My number 3 is Nightcrawler. Just love the dude. Even though he's incredibly religious, and I ain't. That's beside the point. Everything about him, I envy him, and I wish I could be Nightcrawler. I just wish I could bounce around like poof everywhere.
just bam all over the room.
Just bam all over the place. It'd be fucking awesome. So yeah, that's my number 3.
Okay, my number 3.
We're gonna start.
Thor.
We're gonna start hitting some overlap here pretty soon.
Yeah, my third is Thor, albeit it's Luke's fourth. He's actually my third. I absolutely adore Thor, and it just seems in every situation he gets into, his power and his ability to want to protect Asgard and all of the other realms just supersedes anything that comes his way. I mean, yes, he's been defeated, but then you get 3 together in the issues, and then you have 3 super gods, and Thor versus Superman. I'll take Thor any day, because one of Superman's weakness is magic, and both in the movies. I know I'm using the movies as a reference, but they're considered both not only science but magic as well. So who's to say that doesn't play a factor? And he'd actually defeat Superman quite easily in that aspect. But even if it was just toe to toe, fist to fist, he'd probably beat Superman. I've loved Thor, and he had kind of gone in the back burner of my head of interests for a while until the Thor movies came up, and then I'm like, yes, Thor! And I can't wait for the next movie. I can't wait for the next Avengers, because he's always going to be one of my favorite characters in those.
Okay. Is it my turn?
Yep.
What are we on, number 3?
Yes.
Yep.
So my number 3 is Storm. And again, it's something that I admire, because she is a goddess in her little village. She is revered as deity, and she leaves to go join the X-Men to do a better cause. That was pretty awesome. And then she falls in love with this dude, and dude takes away her powers. So she lives as a normal human being, still stays part of the team, becomes the leader of the X-Men for a while, and kicks ass while she's just being normal human Storm. So I think I really admire that. She doesn't give up, and she left a really great life to go and be part of the X-Men because she believed in the cause.
And also she's got one of the best mutant powers out there.
Yeah, she has like epic powers.
It's awesome. I'm not a huge Storm fan, and
Yeah.
mostly it's the reading her in the comics is better than like her preachy, yelly from the cartoon and Halle Berry. So
I just like Terminator, so I like her.
And one of my favorite incarnations of Storm is Joss Whedon. She and Emma Frost dynamic in that whole line that he wrote, it's just awesome. It was so funny and so well done, and they were just so like 2 powerful women, and just battling for this battle of wits and stuff. And I really liked that whole story, especially those 2 characters. And I hate Emma Frost, but I liked her in that.
Okay, so now we move on to the top 2, and my number 2 is the Green Lantern. Again, it's one of those things that DC-wise, he was one of the first heroes that I read that wasn't Batman or Superman. Like, it's because, you get flooded with Batman or Superman. That's what you get when you're going into, pick up anything DC. There's like 7 titles for each. But
Batman's awesome.
but
I mean, screw Superman, but Batman's awesome.
but yeah, just go and seeing in all these like dark comics, and you see this really bright green character making a giant pimp hand to slap a bad guy away. I'm like, oh,
Pimp and strong.
I like the like the idea of the space cops, the Green Lantern Corps, and literally the only thing that they can't do is something that they can't imagine. They can make whatever they will to make. And I always thought that was awesome. I was like, okay, you like Iron Man? I'm going to use the Green Lantern ring and make an Iron Man suit. Boom, I got one too. I just always thought that was awesome. And the Green Lantern that I like personally, I don't have a problem with most of them, but my favorite is Hal Jordan. Also because he has that kind of cocky fighter pilot, test pilot swagger to him, where it's just, he's confident to the point of cocky, and I don't know, I always like that, and yeah, so that's Green Lantern for me, number dos.
Oh, I totally agree with you on the Hal Jordan thing. I will never see Earth's Green Lantern as any more than Hal Jordan. The rest are just, sub-level. They'll always be below Hal Jordan, in my opinion, on the top list of Green Lanterns.
Yeah, I think they all bring their own thing to it, but just my personal favorite is Hal Jordan. So, Charles?
That's me.
That's you.
That's me. My second favorite. See, now we're getting to ones where I actually have an opinion. Spidey. Spider-Man for me all the way. Has been for as long as I can remember. Everything about him, and just the fact that when he's fighting crime, he's making jokes the entire time. That's the Spidey that I love. You're talking about Deadpool earlier being the comic relief. Spider-Man's making the comic relief while he's kicking ass.
So you like the quippy Spider-Man?
I like the quippy Spider-Man. The quippy Spider-Man's the good Spidey, not dark and brooding and emo.
Well, not to mention he's brought some of the most iconic villains, too, into the Marvel Universe. I mean, who the fuck doesn't know Venom?
Yeah, well, he's got the best... I mean, he's probably got the best Marvel villains.
Yeah,
Best menagerie.
Debatable, but yeah.
Well, I would agree with that, honestly. He does. Like, he's got the best rogues gallery of heroes. Like, other guys have really good bad guys. Like, the Fantastic Four have a really good bad guy in Doctor Doom. And then, I guess, Galactus, if you count that. But I think from top to bottom, if you're just spreading out quality of the villains, I think Spider-Man does. Because he's got, like, low-level, no-name guys. But then he's also got these, world-beater dudes that he has to fight with. But, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Spidey.
Okay, Sam?
All right, my number 2 is Batman. And I've loved him since I was a little kid. I mean, I wore out 5 VHS tapes of Batman Returns, maybe. I hadn't read any of the comics at the time, so that was my introduction to Batman, and wow, what an introduction into him. And as I grew up, just Batman gained so much more depth in character to me as I learned more about him and how much crap he's been through. I mean, I can relate somewhat in a part on his death of a parent as a kid, because my mother died as well, so I could relate to him as well. And just the detective stuff. I mean, he's the greatest detective of all of DC, and he's merely just a human. And yeah, just Batman will always be in my top 5, just because, I mean, I played basically all of the Batman games outside of the Legos, which Luke's been turning me on to wanting to play those. The Lego Batmans, especially after watching the Lego movie with Will Arnett voicing them, just absolutely hilarious. So I'll probably end up playing those too. But I mean, on my PC, I have all three of the, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, Arkham Asylum. I have all three of those, and I absolutely love them. So, more Batman, the better.
Okay.
So my second, and we've gotten some overlap, but my second is Nightcrawler. I have always really liked Nightcrawler. But like you said, he has the religious side to him, which I kind of relate because I was raised in a religious background, but I don't really have that much anymore. But I like that about him, and I love his interactions with Wolverine because he genuinely loves Wolverine. I mean, he's his best friend, and just the interactions that they have, that they really are true best friends, and they just go out of their way to be awesome and care about each other. And
I can't wait till you get to the new Nightcrawler stuff, because in the newest Nightcrawler, there's him and Wolverine sitting on a cliff, drinking a 6-pack together, talking about death. It's awesome.
that would be fascinating.
Not to mention Bamf.
Yeah, he's the son of a demon, and Mystique, who's evil, and he still has this religious faith, and he even, after he finds out his origins, he's like, okay, I'm still gonna stick with what I'm doing, and he dies for the X-Men for hope, because that's who he is, and he is who he is the entire time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
You have a much better explanation for why you like him than I do.
Well,
I just like him.
He's the man of sacrifice, and that's a hard thing to be.
All right, now we're moving on to the number ones. And
Dun dun dun.
me, Luke, number one, Daredevil. Daredevil is just he's just my favorite, because name another, before 1964, name another handicapped superhero, and you're not going to be able to. He really brought, what were we going to say?
You just like heroes with eye issues.
Yes, I do. I like heroes. But and also, yes, he has his radar sense, and he can see 360 around him all the time. But he doesn't have superpowers. I guess you can count the radar sense as a superpower, but it's also adapting for the handicap. But I guess it's the same thing like Batman. Martial artist, boxer. He does have his agility, but he can get shot with a gun and killed. He's not Thor. He doesn't have a suit of armor like Iron Man. He can't make things like the Green Lantern and put himself in a bulletproof. He just, I like the man without fear. He doesn't, no matter what he needs to do. I think it was issue 7 of Daredevil, he went and fought the Hulk to try and stop people from, to give people time to get away. And the Hulk is just pounding on this dude, and he keeps getting up, and he keeps going after him. And then 2 issues later, he fought Namor. And it was dude, stop getting your ass kicked. That is literally what happens to him. He just keeps getting the shit kicked out of him, and he keeps getting back up, and he keeps getting back in the fight. And he's been through some shit too, with loved ones and wives and stuff like that. There's times where he goes very, very broody like Batman, but there's also other times where he's very swashbuckly like Nightcrawler. Currently, the Mark Waid run of, he's very swashbuckly, very more adventure-y, less broody detective stuff. So, yeah.
I like Daredevil because he did, with the handicap thing, bring a new dynamic to the Marvel Universe. Something that truly had not been done before.
I just think Daredevil's fearless because he can't see. He really is not 100% sure as to what he's running up against. He knows it's big, but he can't quite see the Hulk.
We actually did a panel of that in one of Mark Waid's where he's running. He's like, I'm pretty sure if I could see right now, I'd be scared shitless. But it doesn't matter. And he went in, just did it anyway, so.
Daredevil would be the ultimate Green Lantern, the man without fear.
Yeah. Daredevil, Green Lantern.
Would he be though? Because he wouldn't really see anything to know what to create.
Yeah, there's nothing in space.
Could you imagine what he would create though? Because he's never really seen anything.
It's true.
Come out of there.
But his radar does do shape. So he'll be like, I make a box.
That's rich people, right?
How would he be able to tell what he made though if he actually made it?
I want a book now where somebody's just sitting there like, put on this ring and you'll make things. Good job, Daredevil!
You know, he would just make mundane things like his cane and Billy because he knows what those are, and then he'd just fly around. So it's pretty much flying through space Daredevil. With glowy green eyes in his mask. I would read that.
Who wouldn't read that?
Well,
I
that's
would read that.
wrong. All right.
That's on to me. Batman. My number one is Batman. The hell are you laughing at now?
No, we're just doing the Batman.
Oh. Batman was the first character I was introduced to as a kid, through Batman the Animated Series. Yeah, I'm young. Shut up. For me, it's the detective. It's the fact that, well, I mean, it's already pretty much been said, but the fact that he is just a normal guy going out and fighting crime, and the fact that he gets this thing when he's a kid and just decides that that's what I'm going to do, and then sets forth and becomes the Batman. When he was 8 years old, his parents died, and he decides that kind of conviction that a kid can just say that's what I'm going to do when he's 8 and then keep going with it is just huge to me. So as a character, Batman not having any superpowers yet, still being able to kick everybody's ass, and then you have the detective side of him and still being able to kick everyone's ass because he's 12 steps ahead of you. And that's really where it comes into, is because he's constantly ahead that he's actually able to kick everyone's ass. He can go toe-to-toe with any superhero and take him out because he's 12 steps ahead.
Okay, so then the question comes down to who wins in a game of chess, Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne?
Really? Is that a question?
That is a question.
It's not a question.
It is.
That's a terrible question.
It's actually a valid question because the answer is Tony Stark.
The answer's Bruce Wayne. You're wrong.
All right, Sam.
Spawn, number one.
Spawn.
I love my Spawn. Spawn is my number one. Always will be.
For people listening to this, he just busted out an action figure and caressed it.
Yes, I caressed my
I could do that too.
burnt
I just choose to be less
Spawn
creepy.
in its display case, still in its plastic wrap. I'm keeping that for 20 years because it's only worth $19.99 right now. But Spawn to me is everything I would want to be in a superhero. Is the fact that I have a sense of distrust with the masses, but I always I have my conscience always gets the best of me. I always end up doing the nice thing instead of being the complete asshole all the time. And just the fact that he takes on the devil. I mean, out of all the mythology with Christians and everything else, the devil's always been like the most feared amongst the masses, and he takes on what's called Malbosia in there, but essentially he's the devil, and that amazed me as a kid, especially growing up, Roman Catholic. I absolutely loved that, is the fact that he made the deal with the devil and he beat the devil out of that deal. Plain and simple. I love Spawn.
Yeah, see, my first introduction to Spawn was that movie that had Black Dynamite in it.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, was it?
Didn't hold up.
Just because I own the Blu-ray, don't look down on me.
Hey, I don't. I own it too. It was $4. Yeah, no, I like
everything you need to know.
I know. I did like Spawn too. Like, he did have the thing that always I remember watching the old animated series. I was like, why is his cape short and then covering the building and then short again and then half the size, and where did the chains come from? And I just didn't
A lot of people actually don't know that the cape is a part of his ectoplasm.
ectoplasm. I haven't heard
Yes.
that from Peter Venkman.
Yeah. No, but like he's a shapeshifter. He's generally immortal. He's got high speed and agility. I mean, like just like Deadpool. He's got high training in military tactics, weaponry. He's also He was a martial artist. There's just a list of things that make him absolutely amazing to me.
Cool.
Never get enough Spawn.
All right, Ryan, close us out.
So my number one, I told you it'd get better, is the Phoenix.
Oh, good
Oh.
choice.
Jean Grey's Phoenix. And the reason that I like that, again, it's something that I admire and I relate to. Because what I admire about it, she gets the powers of a god, like life creating powers, and saves the universe, and then goes a little crazy and destroys destroys planets, eats planets,
Kills all
destroys,
the broccoli people.
yeah, destroys billions. So she represents the extremes of both these two characteristics: the ability to do great good and the ability to do horrible evil, all in the
Luke.
same person.
You're telling me she is the Jolly Green Giant's arch nemesis.
Yes. And then there's this one epic panel when the Shi'ar come for her after she's been Dark Phoenix and they kind of contain the Phoenix entity. The Shi'ar come for her, and the X-Men are on the ship, and they're preparing to do battle with the Shi'ar army over Jean Grey's life. And each one of them, they come to terms with, okay, this is our friend, and she's also killed billions of people. But we're going to still support our friend, even though she's done this horrible thing that we don't agree with. That really always was really awesome for me. That they each came to this conclusion individually, and it shows how they do that. And they each get a little panel. But I always really liked that, of how each one of her friends decides to go and still help her, even though they don't agree with what she's done. I thought that was always really cool.
Cool. Yeah. All right, that's a good way to wrap it up. My number.
Remind me, were any of yours non-X-Men?
Aquaman.
Oh, that's right, the first one. Forgot about him.
Most people do forget about Aquaman.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's just so easy.
All right. Yeah, that's about all we had. We're running on like an hour and a half here. Yeah,
It's a good show.
that's what she said. But yeah, go ahead and shamelessly plug yourself, Charles, before we wrap up.
Plug himself.
Yeah.
That part. It's a little shameful, but the shameless plug is going to be the Nerd Store. Come in, check us out. It's Valley Fair Mall in West Valley City,
Utah.
Utah.
Utah 119.
I just kind of assumed that people that are listening to this will be in Utah, but I suppose it's the World Wide Web, and we might get someone in.
You know that.
Might open up your online market.
Yeah, I don't have one. Shit.
Yeah, don't worry.
Hire a starving college student. They'll make your website. They'll manage it for you.
His online store is email the podcast.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps up episode 1 of the Nerd Dome. I never said enter the Nerd Dome, but I guess you guys can now exit the Nerd Dome.
Bitch.
So thanks for listening again. I'm Luke.
I'm Charles. Keep it creepy.
Sam.
Ryan. I love the Phoenix.
All right, guys, and hopefully we'll have episode 2 recorded and up pretty soon. Thanks.